Welcome to today's podcast. This is your Rubies of Grace host, Rose Inyama. Rubies of Grace podcast promote the principles of love, respect, mutual agreement, unity, integrity, and trust within our diverse relationships. We're God's jewels, beautifully crafted to radiate His image and light in this world. It is such a pleasure to be sharing this podcast on relationships matter with you. I do hope that you can come with me on this journey for us to better our relationships because relationships matter. Today's podcast on emotional safety is the fifth core relationship concept that we will be considering in this series. The book of Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 1 to 14, and chapter 4, verses 1 to 16 give us very vivid descriptions of emotional safety in the context of a romantic relationship, which I would recommend for spouses to study and learn from. I will read a few of these verses from the suggested passages. I would encourage you to read the entire chapters, for there is a lot to learn. Verse 1 of Songs of Solomon or Songs of Songs, chapter 2 says, I am a wild flower picked from the plains of Sharon, a lotus blossom from the valley pools. Verse 2. A lotus blossoming in a swamp of weeds. That's my dear friend among the girls in the village. Verse 3 and 4. As an apricot tree stands out in the forest, my lover stands above the young men in town. All I want to is to sit in his shade, to taste and savor his delicious love. He took me home with him for a festive meal, but his eyes feasted on me. Verses 5 and 6. Oh, give me something refreshing to eat and quickly. Apricots, raisins, anything. I'm about to faint with love. His left hand cradles my head. His right arm encircles my waist. Verse 14. Oh, get up, dear friend. My fair and beautiful lover, come to me. Come, my shy and modest dove. Leave your seclusion. Come out in the open. Let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is soothing and your face is ravishing. Verse 15. Then you must protect me from the foxes. Foxes on the prowl. Foxes who would like nothing better than to get into our flowering garden. That is the reading of God's word. Please do well in your own time to read the entire passage. What picture can you see created from the reading of this passage? For me, that speaks emotional safety. Emotional safety is established when you can be yourself around your friend, around your partner or your spouse, where there is no mask needed, where there is nothing to hide or be ashamed of. That is emotional safety. Emotional safety is also the ability to be vulnerable without fear of judgment or betrayal. Emotional safety means you feel secure enough in a relationship to be your true self, to speak honestly, to be vulnerable, to express your emotions without fear of judgment, without fear of rejection, or without fear of retaliation. Without emotional safety, even love and attraction can feel fragile and unsafe. However, with emotional safety, relationships deepen, trust grows, and conflict becomes something that both of you can navigate easily together. Can you be honest as you examine further pointers of emotional safety that I'm about to share with you as an acid test of your relationship? Will you let it reveal the true nature of your relationship or the quality of your relationship or where you would like your relationship to be? I mean your relationship with your friend, your relationship with your partner, or your relationship with your spouse. Where would you like it to be? What does emotional safety look like? This is the acid test. Where there is emotional safety, you can express your feelings without being mocked, without being dismissed or punished. Where there is emotional safety, there will be no fear of being judged, criticized, or ignored. Your partner or your spouse will not be upset or struggle where there is emotional safety. You can trust that disagreements won't turn back into attacks or silent treatment or even breed resentments. Where there's emotional safety, dismissive responses like you're too sensitive, you always make it about you, that didn't happen. This will not be reoccurring in such relationships where there's emotional safety. You will not be withholding feelings because you're afraid of how the other person will react. Where there's emotional safety, you will not be afraid of abandonment or manipulation when you're honest or vulnerable. Where there's emotional safety, you will feel accepted regardless of your flaws, regardless of your needs, regardless of inadequacies and all. You will not be walking on eggshells to avoid setting the other person off. Where there's emotional safety, the parties do not indulge in guilty tripping. They do not indulge in gaslighting or indulge in emotional blackmail. Can I ask you, how did you perform with emotional safety as a test? Were you honest to yourself? Are you providing emotional safety to your friend, to your partner, or to your spouse? Are you wondering how you can build emotional safety if you've not been doing that lately? I'll share some tips, but the rest relies on you. The first tip to share is practice non-judgmental listening. Will you decide to let your partner share their feelings, their opinions, their needs and concerns without interrupting them, without trying to correct them, or without even mocking them? Will you show others empathy before offering advice or before offering your opinions? That way, you're acknowledging them. You're not shutting them up. Will you validate the emotions of your friends, your partner, or your spouse using phrases such as, I understand why you feel that way? Note, you don't have to agree to validate their own feelings. Will you be consistent by following through on your words? Will you choose to be reliable and trustworthy, especially during emotionally charged moments? Will you choose to respond rather than reacting? This is so vital when emotions seem to be running high. Trying self-control and emotional regulation at this point, taking a breath before you reply in moments of conflict, in moments of argument. Do your best to avoid blame, sarcasm, and defensiveness. Apologize and repair when you've acted in the wrong way or when you have not spoken correctly. Do you know what? A sincere apology can rebuild trust and safety. Phrases such as, I am sorry, I dismissed you earlier, I want to hear from you now, go a very long way. Will you choose to treat emotional openness like a gift, not a weakness? Never use someone else's vulnerable moments against them later. It means that in my own opinion rather, if you do such a thing, I'll label you as a coward. If someone has been vulnerable, a friend or a partner has been vulnerable, shown their vulnerability to you, and tomorrow use it against them, oh, you're a coward. Where there's emotional safety, it doesn't mean the absence of conflict. Rather, it is a presence of trust. It means that there's care, there's respect in the middle of the apparent conflict or tension. Where there's emotional safety, people feel free to express themselves. People feel free to understand each other. People feel free to accommodate each other easily. Because you're accommodating them, they also find it easy to accommodate you. There's mutuality where there's emotional safety. Communication is effective. where there's emotional safety. There is mutual respect. I just want you to realize that the core concepts that we've been studying and the ones we're yet to study, they're intertwined, they're interrelated. Once you start practicing one, you notice that it's affecting the other in a positive way. And this is why they are core concepts. They go hand in hand. Emotional safety will mean that you're avoiding blaming, you're avoiding sarcasm and defensiveness. You rather choose to be kind. You rather choose to show empathy. You rather choose to be humble, to take correction, to admit your faults and your mistakes. Apologize when needed. You don't mind letting your guards down. You're very aware of the relationship you have, but because of emotional safety, you become vulnerable. You choose to be vulnerable. This is okay because there's emotional safety. Can you say that your relationship is one where there is emotional safety? Could it be that in your relationship, emotional safety is missing because of you? If that is the case, what are you going to do differently? How did you do with the acid test? Like I mentioned, the core concepts are related. If you want to build emotional safety, then try and be consistent with your words. Try and be understanding of the other person, validating their own emotion. It shouldn't be all about your own emotion all the time. Practice non-judgmental listening. Be reliable and trustworthy. All these things will help to bring about emotional safety in your relationship. I do hope that today's podcast will ignite a desire to nurture your relationships and to consider areas where you need to make a change, where you may need to adapt, add more juice, which means to add vigor, interest, energy, and some excitement. Tune in for more. Until next time, do your best because relationships matter.